Sure did. What's the 441 Martians? I'm your astro tour guide, Wise Eye. Welcome to Wise Vibes. Another installment. We got moon sign energy balancing the subconscious, divine feminine. Welcome, peace, blessings, grand rising, great night, all that good stuff. However you may be involved in your matrix. Thanks for tapping in. Thanks for checking in, gathering this download. And we're gonna get right into it, y'all. We're gonna tackle the moon sign energy, and we're going to speak on how balancing that divine feminine within one's avatar is important to gain access to their subconscious. So first slide, let's get right into it. Divine feminine. Nature connections on an internal level. So when we're speaking of divine feminine, that's a internal thing, a subconscious thing, a emotional or a feeling type of things. Nothing that you can necessarily see on the external. Alignment with nature can assist in harmony within the soul. So, you're doing your chakra energies, balancing roots and all that stuff. You come into a space of having harmony within yourself, same as the nature having harmony within itself. All the animals, the trees, the water, the wind, all of those things work in cyclic harmony, and there's a particular route that they all travel to engage one another. So that divine feminine is kind of like the glue to the Holy Trinity. And we'll talk about the Holy Trinity in a few more slides. But the divine masculine feeds nature, and divine feminine is fed by nature. So you can kind of see the dualism, but the alteration in each. You have the divine masculine feeding, giving, protecting, providing, and then you have the divine feminine nurturing. You have the intuition, the creative space. That ability to coexist is important because they both co-create with nature, and that's what you're talking about with yin and yang. You have divine feminine, divine masculine, but ultimately divine feminine is involving itself in a nature balance, a harmonic balance. Because in so many words, the divine feminine is Mother Earth. That's Gaia, or however you want to speak into its existence. You feel the nurturing quality from the Mother Earth. Everything is here for us on Earth. It grows naturally. It has natural cycles to constantly be available for our edification and our nourishing spirit to give us, our intuitive gifts. So yin, yang, that's very important to remember when you're dealing with either divine feminine or the divine masculine, because they both coexist in order to co-create with spirit. Next slide. Reflections. You have the moon energy signature. It allows us to access the subconscious. So metaphysically, the moon is a reflection of the sun, which is the divine masculine. But in actuality, the moon reflects the earth. So it exposes this reflection of self-reflection back to us, or back to one as they gaze upon it from this earth plane. The cycles are in control of all emotional bodies. So that involves sea tide, births of babies, menstrual cycles, human emotions. It's a rank of things that accumulate or are under the umbrella of this divine feminine. So the reflection is important, and the reflection is merely what goes on when the sun goes down for a break. So let's think about it like this. The sun takes a break or it goes to another part of the world and shines out somewhere else. And in that shine, there's a shadow, and that shadow is oftentimes dark. But if you go into that dark shadow, which is the new moon, we'll talk about that again in the next slide, and then you deal with the illumination of self. That illumination of self will reflect a light of shiny, beautiful, ingenuities. Because if you look at the moonlight over the sea, you're able to view the moon on top of that water. But in reverse, if it's sunlight out, you don't see the reflection of the sun. You see the water, and you see the depths of the water. So that's a metaphysical standpoint to remember that the reflection comes out at night. And what do you do in a mirror? What do you do with reflection? You gaze upon it and you look for ways to beautify it. You look for ways to make it look better. You look for ways to balance it. You may want to cut one side of your mustache. You may need to clip this side of your hair. You may need to slick this part of your hair back. That's what you do in the mirror, most of us. So the same thing is involving in moonlight energy, nighttime energy, reflection energy, divine feminine energy. You want to allow the balance of beauty. So that's an emotional standpoint, or from an emotional standpoint, you want to clear up, something that may be bothering you. You want to clear up something that you feel is unforgiving. You want to clear up something that is out of your control, because there's different emotions that can sway based on a reaction. Moons are reactionary energies, and if you're not balanced within that reactionary energy, you're going to sway a very bipolar-esque energy. And that's not, I guess that's not the nicest word, because some people think that's a clinical aspect, but more specific to what we're talking about, that's just an imbalanced moon. An imbalanced third eye can be an imbalance in any other chakras under that. Next slide. So coexisting is the balance. And we just spoke about how the yin and the yang, they coexist so that they can co-create with the spirit. And that's, you can look at sun, moon, and spirit as even the Holy Trinity in the Bible. You can look at it as the Holy Trinity in the Egyptian text. You can look at it as Holy Trinity in, Jewish aspect. All these aspects come from this basis right here. There's a protector, and then there's a nurturer, and then those two co-create in one energy. You see how this picture is one person with two heads, four hands. That's the essence of balance. And I stole this off of Google. I couldn't find who it belonged to give them credit for this amazing art piece, but found it on Google, no name attached, so can't give credit. But it's a great portrayal of coexisting and having that balance to edify one another. And I'm going to do a breakdown on the divine masculine. So it should be on file as you see this. Scroll the feed, check it out, you know what I mean? But right now we're tapping in divine feminine, ladies first, But that Holy Trinity is asking for balance. So as a male, we got these different gender specific topics, and outside of all that, you're talking about an actual male born with a male specific sexual reproductive system. We're talking about those. They are more inclined to deal with a feminine aspect for balance, because naturally a male has the hormonal instincts, the protective instincts, the leaderistic instincts as a male to already have divine masculine kind of on lock. They have that as a natural gift. So digging into the shadow, when they put that divine masculine to sleep as the sun would go away at night, there's a reflection that needs to be tamed. There's a creative energy. There's a nurturing side of that same male that needs to be edified, balanced, and useful, brought into coexisting. You know, the male cannot use his divine masculine as strong as he would like to without having the divine feminine in the same level of balance. Otherwise, there will be a seesaw and there will be imbalance. And there will ultimately be a disconnect from spirit, because spirit requires coexistence. You know how the Matrix, you know how they had Neo and then they had Trinity. Her name is Trinity. But they both were to create a Holy Trinity, and they had plugged them both up into that machine, and was the Matrix Resurrection. But they plugged them up. They didn't allow them to touch, but they got them close enough so that they can use their energy, their sparks from one another to connect to that source. You know, that's all that Matrix depiction or symbolism was about. So just as a male would, you know, a female would benefit working with their masculine, because naturally they're intuitive. Naturally they have the gifts of taking care of a baby, suckling and feeding a baby, you know, giving a baby the attention and care it needs as a tiny being. Working on their masculine, you know, their protective skills, their logical skills, their abilities to provide intel, information, or anything for their family is just as appropriate, and that both needs to be in a balance of coexistence. Connect the spirit, Holy Trinity, you know, there you have it. Next slide. So astrology and the moon. This can symbolize the area of life your mother may have been at when you were conceived. So in so many words, your mother may have been dealing with a particular emotional level of life, or a transformation in life, you know, whatever is going on. But that moon seems to be placed in whichever house that it is shown from your mother. So you can identify a particular mother generational, not curse, I wouldn't say curse, but a generational habit that may need to be checked or broken. But on the flip side, those are maternal gifts that your mother had passed down to you as well. So which house is your moon sign? And you can work with that house in order to balance your emotional self, emotional body within your generations, because that is connecting you to a generational lineage of the matriarch. The matriarch is your mother. Your mother had a mother, and your mother's mother's mother. So your moon, in essence, connects you down that lineage, down that rabbit hole, if you will. And you get to the bottom of it, there's a source of divine feminine. And that divine feminine is involved in that moon sign. So if you're in the first house, you know, your mother may have been a confident, free-spirited leader, you know. Just for example, you know, if your mother was if your moon sign is in the 8th house, you may have had a mother that is in a transformative space, in a space where they are getting rid of the old and becoming something new. And you were born right in the midst of that transformation. which could give you a emotional standpoint of transformation often yourself. And it's for you to find balance in those transformations, those constant transformations, because the moon sign, it travels fast. The moon stays in one sign for 2.5 days perhaps, and it takes about a month to complete this entire wheel. So the opposite of transformation in Scorpio would be balance in Taurus, self-values, self-edification, and appreciation. You will find where your moon sign is, and then you will look into the opposite side of that moon sign to see what is balancing or needs to be brought into your life of your emotional field for balance. You dig? So if we have a 6th house moon, your Virgo energy can be a little bit of negative. It can have a little bit of nagging energy. It can complain a lot at in the home areas of life. They can have a space of unknowing because they're so physical, they don't know the subconscious. So you have a Pisces on the opposite end, which is subconscious energy, and it's all about dreams, hopes, and knowledge. So a Virgo moon can be unknowing because they're not allowing that emotional status to tap more into that Piscean subconscious murky energy, not mercurial, but murky. And you have the depths in the subconscious where you can pull out a bit of truth and bring it on over to that Virgo energy, that work and that health, that daily edification, and you can make it real. So if that Virgo moon or that 6th house moon were to involve itself on more of a subconscious standpoint, it will be able to have more of a balance with real life and subconscious. So, too much of either, you can be in an unknown space because you're unfamiliar. Being super spiritual, knowing everything about spirit isn't always great for going to make a house. You don't know nothing about screws. You don't know nothing about angles. You don't know nothing about support, foundation, blah, 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 blah. So you want to have a balance of all. So give yourself the opportunity to search where your moon was when you were born. If it's in the 10th house, that's Capricorn. 10th house emotional energy, they can be very sensitive but not show it. They can be very stable in an emotional field but have an internal need or craving for feelings, emotions, connections. And that's because on the opposite you have Cancer. Cancer is home, family. So they're very smart, they're very caring for their family, these Capricorn moons. But you also want to make sure that your nurturing ability is there, your ability to compensate, your ability to, give a person a welcoming space in your own home or create a home. So you wanna deal with your moon in astrology like that. You can see where your mother was. You can see how you will be as a mother. That's for fathers to you, or nurturer more so. How you will be as a nurturer to your child, to your partner, etc., etc. Next slide. Working with the moon cycles. So you want to begin with the new moon, and this is all matrix understanding, because regardless of if this moon is fake, real, if it's a reflection of a satellite, blah blah blah, it's very accurate when it comes to these manifestations. So begin to work with the cycles of the moon. Understand how the cycles of the moon work. You feel me? Because you have the new moon. The new moon waxes on. I don't know why I got waxes off. I'm typing real fast. But the new moon waxes on, and then it wanes off. You feel me? So when you have new moon energy, you begin with new intentions, and those intentions can increase with the flow of the cycle. You can also increase your efforts with the flow of the cycle to give new benefit of when the full moon exemplifies itself. Excuse me. The harvest is there for reaping, because full moon brings new energies. So the new moon is when you start new things, but the full moon is when it brings those new things to you. Does that make sense? Gratitude and appreciation is always important when dealing with the moon, because these things keep a light emotional balance and your or light emotional aura amongst your heart chakra, and you want to use every chakra to get to that moon chakra at the top of the the peak, the third eye, the ajna. So in the full moon, you're asked to have forgiveness, asked to let go of old habits, asked to let go of things that do not serve you, because you will be letting go through that whole waning period. And as you get back to the new moon, you'll have a space of new slate. You have a space of new ideas, because by the time the waning crescent is in, your new ideas are rolling in, because you're getting rid of old things. And once that new moon rolls around, that cycle is going into a wax, half, quarter, first quarter, wax and gibbous, and then you're in a full moon again. The full moon allows for illumination, full illumination, so secrets can come out. Heightened energies can be often in the full moon. That's why your sex drive may be off the charts on a full moon. You may just be very agitated on a full moon. You may get into a fight on a full moon. You may have, a baby on a full moon. It depends on your emotional body and the levels of the emotional body, because you have the seas, the tides, they move on moon cycle. And I believe when it's full, you have more of a tide coming in closer to the shore, giving more urgency to balance that emotional field. Because whether it's being controlled or not, the moon cycles control us in so many words, because we're 70% water. And like I said, the water emotional bodies are all in control of this cycle. Next slide. So the moon energy can be found in the 6th major chakra, and that's the ajna. And we don't forget that it's also shared with the sun. So the ajna has the 2 leaves, Cancer and Leo. And the more you balance from that root all the way up through each chakra, and I have a video on my timeline, Astrology within the chakra. Tap into that so that you can get a better understanding of how to reach this third eye and to smooth out that energy and activate it all at once. The more you balance each of those chakras, the more you're developing an active third eye, and that intuition kicks in, that natural nurturing kicks in, that natural ability to know what to do next kicks in, because you are getting the intel from spirit by balance, but you're getting from the moon, the feminine, you're getting that information from nature. So what one must do in divine feminine energy, you're opening yourself up for receiving. You're looking for a reserved space, like it's like a reserved table. You have a sign right there, and it's saying that this is my space, this is where I will eat, and this is where I will be when I receive. So in a meditative state, you are connecting the aura, you are activating the chakra system, and that third eye is coming online. As the third eye comes online, it taps into messages from nature, messages from God, messages from spirit, and that spirit is giving you the access to understand what is involved with your mission, or involved with what spirit needs you to know. Because a lot of times we may look for the wrong things to teach us, and if we don't look inside of ourselves, we'll never know what is correct and balanced and right. And that's what balance of divine feminine, divine masculine is about. Shadow work is very important. Very, very important when it comes to these balances. And like I said, if you're a female, you'll be more in tune to deal with the divine masculine when you're operating on that shadow work surgery table, and vice versa. A male, you have a feminine, divine feminine. That's that Carl Jung anima and animus understanding and understanding. Google it, look it up, anima and the animus. And you'll have a better understanding. Also, Hood Mystic talks a lot about the anima and the animus. Google him as well. He's a great, great teacher. Super, super knowledgeable. Tap into him. So, thank you. Like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate you guys tapping in. That was just a quick build on our divine feminine. I'm your host, your astro tour guide, Wise Eye. Moordreamzllc at yahoo.com if you're looking for a reading, or you want to ask me a question, or even add a topic that you're interested in, me, breaking down, putting a little presentation together, break it down, you feel me? Cashapp Moordreamz. My ministry, we're just getting started. We have a good amount of videos on YouTube, and I look to, expand my offering in any way that I'm able to. I'm developing different spiritual tools, and I'm understanding different spiritual modalities to help us get in harmony with our energy. I'm all about harmonic energy, learning how to gain understanding of how our energy can be manipulated in a positive manner by ourselves, by our subconscious, by our conscious, to develop the awareness and develop the reality that we see fit on this earth. Because we're manifestators. That's not a word. We're manifestations of our thoughts, and the ability to think something up without seeing it is a manifestation of God. God can give you those sights. You just have to be willing to receive, and you have to have a lower ego, which is working that divine masculine, balancing that out, and you have to have a receiving nature, which is a balanced divine feminine. You feel me? We're going to tap into that divine masculine. So if you haven't watched that video yet, jump on over there. Until then, y'all be wise. Eat the thumbs up if this was a wise vibe. I appreciate y'all staying to the end. Love, blessings, peace, and vibes.